Hello, 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 and welcome back to Down the Rabbit Hole. We are on episode 103, and we're going to be talking about some paranormal activity today. As most of y'all know, this is Down the Rabbit Hole, and we talk about stuff like this. If you're new here, hit that like button, ring that bell for notifications. Also, please subscribe and pay no attention. I am sitting on my bed because I am too lazy to clean my desk off. I know, some of you probably thinking I need to get off my lazy butt and go clean my desk off, but come on, y'all, I don't want to. That sounds like the most adulting thing to ever say right there. I'm not gonna lie. I do all the work to rearrange it and then I just choose to sit on my bed because it's closer. Also, my comforter's on my bed. I know I could keep a blanket over it at the same time, but anyway, if you're new here, hit that like button, ring that bell for notifications. Also, please subscribe. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram as well. If there is something you want me to talk about, please let me know. You can message me on Breezyville on Facebook and Breezyville underscore YouTube YT channel as well. I do check those messages from time to time, so maybe a pop up and your suggestion might be added. So, we're going to talk about the Joshua Ward House, and it has some very rich history behind it. That was built in 1784. It is one of the first brick homes in Salem, Massachusetts, and a noted bricklayer and woodworker. At the time, Samuel McIntyre did of all the house interior woodwork, including the original staircase that remains the oldest surviving work. But since 2015, the Joshua Ward House has served as a hotel, but not before that, in 1983, it was added to Salem's downtown district, and prior to that, in 1978, it was listed in the National Register of Historic Places. So, regarded was the residence during a visit in Salem, 1789, where George Washington specifically requested a stay at this home and operating as a tavern during the 19th century. It Pacific, it was built at the same time as Sheriff George Corrin, who lived in one of the worst individuals involved with the trials. And George Corrin was as famous for his involvement in the Salem Witch trials, and that is the main reason for it being haunted. And the man was beyond sadistic. And as you will have learned upon further reading, be warned, these methods he used are not for the faint of heart, and should stand to serve as a reminder just how good we all have it compared to what really took place during these infamous trials that were from boredom. So what is the Joshua Ward House? Well, this house gets its namesake from the owner Joshua Ward, who was a very successful merchant during this period, and Mr. Ward passed and Salem took ownership of the residence, and it eventually served as an apartment building of sorts, housing one of the others accused of witchcraft during the Salem witch trials, and it was also where the residence gets its haunted connection, not only due to the fact that Joshua Ward House was built on the very same ground as its Sheriff Corrin once lived, but also because of the horrific things that he did to the tenants there. So, Sheriff George Corrin would often interrogate and accuse the the accused at the Joshua Ward House with his heinous techniques, earning him the nickname of the Strangler. One nearly unmentionable method of interrogation involves him tying the neck of one of his victims to his ankles tightly with rope until blood gushed out of their nose. Now, not only did the Joshua Ward House was used for interrogations, but it is also rumored that he used the basement of his own home to torture and victimize his victims. Whether they were truly witches or not, his methods were so severe that he would often pledge their allegiance to Satan just to end the horrific punishment. Now, of course, shortly thereafter, they usually they were usually executed and totally unfair and only to serve show how far we've come since those terrible times in our young nation's embarrassing history right there. It needs mentioning that, however, these practices were completely legal and legitimate during this time. So keep that in mind. And with all the torture done at the hands of the Sheriff George, the Strangler Corrin, within the walls of the Joshua Ward, it stands to reason that many people believe that the spirits of the allegedly haunting the place are the victims of Corrin. Now, Giles Corey was one of the 19 who was executed during the Salem witch trials. Wow! Most of the people were hanged. Mr. Corey was crushed and crushed to death by rocks, and none other than Chef Corey. And Giles is said to have regularly haunted the ward residents. So what about other strange phenomena? Well, as if there wasn't enough evidence to send chills up your spine, there has been multiple witnesses who have claimed that they have been strangled by an unseen presence with hands while visiting the Joshua Ward house. Now, equally as strange are the reports of warm, half-hearted candle racks in the rooms where no candles were present, and perhaps most intrigued of all these encounters are the guests having sudden unexplained scratches and burns appearing on their arms. Now, at the time of a bittersweet revenge of horrendous act of Sheriff George Corrin, if the reports of these being strangled by far was seen as entity of the belief, then it sounds like the strangler has been cursed forever into one of the very halls he used to patrol and search for his next victim. Talk about irony right there. So, good cop, bad cop? Well, if there's anything he said in the aftermath of these ridiculous days of law enforcement, it would be said that it's pretty good. Next time you have the negative thoughts toward your current police force, just think about it and think about how Salem Witch Days used to do it and what those poor souls had to endure. Now, granted, there are currently certainly good cops and bad cops out there, and they're also, after all, only human. But you'd be very hard pressed to find one diabolical as the Sheriff George Corman. And this certified lunatic has been placed upholding the law, and it is rumored he got his position through nepotism. As we know, nepotism is one issue that has been causing a lot of debate in this country here lately. But keeping my opinion on that one, anything political will be deleted in the comments. So, but one has to wonder if his methods were considered legal in the first place, as long as they were in any event, will undoubtedly continue to be remembered as all the times more than a murderer who served only to abuse his given power. So interestingly, the witch house was set to be demolished in 1944 to make way for a widening of the street. Locals, however, banded together to put a stop to raising $42,000 to acquire the move of the house back to a mere 35 feet where it currently sits. Now, after two architects restored the residence to its original 17th century splendor, the witch house has been handed over to the city of Salem, and at this point becoming a museum that functions as today. So, with it being the oldest structure of the Salem Witch Trials, there is no doubt that the house is visited on a yearly basis. Most notably around Halloween, it is the perfect recipe for what makes a haunted house. And it is so popular that and well known being haunted that in fact it was featured in Ghost Adventures in 2011. And perhaps one of the best that the houses remains open as a museum, haunted or otherwise, as it stands to serve as a reminder of the terms of how far we've come as a country. What was once considered normal practice, the execution of witches, and it's like a laughable by today's standard. Now, if ever there was a time period that we can reflect upon just how much we have to better ourselves, the Salem witch trials is surely one of them. Um, and everything. And it's like, and this is where you'll find a lot of evidence for a once brutal way that I'm so glad we've improved from and everything. But what? Okay, anybody who lives in this area has been through it. Have y'all had any paranormal experience regarding this? I am very curious to know. I'm adding this to my travel bucket list. So we'll see. Y'all have a great day. Join me next time as we talk about the Black Pelican Rest.